Alright, what I have here is the Argus C3. This one is the Matchmatic version, but this kind of applies to all Argus C3s because the process is the same. So it originally came with the 50mm lens, but due to a botched repair attempt, I broke it. So I've been using a 35mm lens for pretty much most of the year now, and I love it. This is a fantastic lens. It's a real peach. But I recently came across the 100mm telephoto lens at a local secondhand store, and so I was going to switch over the lenses, but I realized there's not a whole lot of videos explaining these well. I mean, there's lots of videos out there explaining how to replace the lens on the Argus C3, but people tend to overcomplicate it. These were really designed to have the lenses switched out in seconds, so I'm going to show you how Argus wants you to do it, and it really is super simple. So what you're going to do, set the focusing ring on the rangefinder to infinity and remove the idler gear cover, and then remove the idler gear. And then you just unscrew the lens. Now I'm going to take my new telephoto lens. I'm going to screw that in. Now make sure your rangefinder is still set to infinity, and then you're going to set your lens to infinity. It should be right there. Then drop in your idler gear and put in the idler gear cover. There it is, new lens. So we'll go back to 35mm now. So rangefinder set to infinity. Remove the idler gear and screw the lens. Put in 35mm. Set this one to infinity. Make sure your rangefinder didn't move. So that's at infinity. Drop your idler gear in. Put the cover on. So like I said, these were designed to swap the lenses within seconds. The only difference is with the 50mm lens. Now a lot of people overcomplicate it by saying set the rangefinder to 3, but the only reason you would do that is because on some of these, the idler gear cover extends past the idler gear. It's a larger cover, and what can happen is it can get trapped in the groove of your 50mm lens. So in that case, you set it to 3 meters. It gives you enough room to get the idler cover off, and then you thread this back down to infinity, and then you take the idler gear out. So the only real difference between these is if you're going back to the 50mm lens. So set that to infinity. Take off your idler gear. And the only reason that this one's different is because on the 50mm lens, the teeth do not extend completely around the lens. So I can't really show you too well with this one because it's damaged, but I can try. So in this case, you have your rangefinder set to infinity. You're going to screw it in. But now this collar is kind of free turning, so what you're going to want to do is set it to the far left one that can accept a tooth. So as far over as you can get it to engage the teeth, that's the setting it should be on. And then you put your cover back on. And see what I mean? The idler gear cover is contacting the lens. That's partly because this is broken, but you know, you can set it to 3 feet, and that will give you the clearance. You know, if my lens wasn't damaged, it'd be easier to show you. But in that case, you'd set it to 3 feet, screw on the cover, and then you're good to go. But you don't set the lens at 3 feet. You keep it at infinity when you're installing it. Then you put the idler gear in, and then you can change it to 3 feet to thread the cap on. So I'm actually not going to keep this 50mm lens because it's damaged. So I'm going to leave it on this telephoto lens. All right, now it's easy as that. Now what makes me confident that I'm correct on this? Oh, that's because I have the manual for it. This is the original manual that came with the telephoto lens. And in here it says the only reason you would be setting it to 3 meters is because the on some of the older models the dial is different. See, this is the smaller dial, whereas I have the larger dial. So I hope this helps at least someone out there. These are fantastic cameras, and they still have a lot of life in them if you find one that's in good shape. I wholeheartedly recommend you giving them a try, and I will catch you guys in the next video. Thanks for watching.